Speed is of the essence in today's supply chains. Speed of information, speed of delivery, and speed of process. The empowered and informed customer is the new boss, and their demands and expectations are forcing companies at all levels to streamline their planning and execution cycle. The escalating requirements for speed and accuracy have stretched the limits and capabilities of many companies. Now, more and more information is being required in real time to support demand. Brian, based on your research on B2B integration and collaboration, how quickly is information being exchanged between organizations, and how does speed translate to competitive advantages?
Sure. You know, and just a quick point is that when you talk about speed, if people need encouragement to think that is speed really important, Walmart's now in the drone business, as we just heard recently. Right. So if that doesn't give you a sign that what's important about speed, then nothing will. So from our research, 24% of the information we find is required in real time. Add another 16% to say within an hour, so that's 40% of the information required in the supply chain from wherever it's required is due within an hour, and then 69% of everything within a day. So no longer can you wait. It isn't a week-to-week process. Right. It's not even a day-to-day. In most cases, you're going to need that information very quickly. So leaders have a significant advantage in terms of the speed with which they get their information as well. They're 57% versus they get it on time versus 48% for the followers. That's an 18% advantage. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start to talk about getting that information in a timely manner, and I'm on the phone with the customer, that's close to 20% of the time I'm going to be able to respond more quickly than the competition. Right. So that's the way you need to think about that. Right. So like I say, the percentage itself doesn't sound dramatic, but it is. The other thing is getting that information. We talked about, if I had that visibility, we discussed, or I mentioned earlier that, because I don't have that visibility or have that information, I hedge. Right. That's where the inventory comes in, that's 16 to 20%. Okay, again, the visibility and having that information and knowing means I eliminate the doubt. Doubt is one of the killers in a supply chain. Lack of trust. Right. You understand that, right? So, anyway, these improvements can show up as either margin improvement or the ability to reduce product prices without negatively impacting margins. It enables companies to be, more competitive. The other areas I'd say that have huge advantages, the leaders are, much greater in terms of their gross margin. We see 3 points difference between the leaders and the followers. And again, this is 3 points. And I think we've Right. discussed this, but 3% of $1 billion is 30 million. That's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of software. Okay, Absolutely. That's a lot of integration. Okay, so the point is those are not trivial numbers. Also, the leaders had a cash conversion cycle more than twice as fast as the followers. That means they can return cash to the company in other ways, so that enables capital expansion, acquisition, equipment. It could be, whatever it is, but cash to a company could be, key for expansion and growth. So, again, some of the keys that we see. Customer service, I would say 5 points. We see that kind of difference routinely, and again, a lot of that is collaboration, particularly for folks that are in the I call the B2B and supporting B2C businesses. All right, 1 point in a big box store, that is very tough to get.
Right.
It's like, what do you mean 1 point? Well, 1 point is it's a killer, and the inventory you may have to handle and the expertise in customer service to be agile enough to support that. Those are tough to come by. 5 points is astronomical.
Right.
Okay, so I'm preaching to the choir, I realize, but. Those are some of the key things we see when it comes to some of the performance advantages.
Absolutely. These are huge numbers, and while the calculation would be very different for every company, the improvements can amount to millions. A 4% gross margin improvement on $1 billion business is 40 million. I'd take that. I think anybody would be pretty happy with that improvement. And obviously, leaders are gaining significant advantages in achieving ROI in their B2B integration investments. Whether a leader or follower, there are many opportunities for improvement, and we'll discuss this and how to approach it in our next segment.